Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm in the woods, as you can tell, and I'm going to be spending an overnight in this natural shelter. For context, it's currently the Christmas holidays now, and that's why I'm home from uni and able to be out here. It's not actually Christmas anymore, it's like early January, and schools are back in session, but I've got an exam period immediately after Christmas, so I've got some time. I'm not going straight back up north just yet, so I thought instead of just sitting around at home, I've been keeping busy there too obviously, but no projects worth filming. I thought I'd get out here and make a video out here because I've been missing camping up north. You know, I don't have any of my kit with me, so yeah, as I had the opportunity, I phoned my friend Aaron again, got permission to be in the same woods where I camped with him in the hammocks in the summer, and here I am. I got here about 9 AM, hiked in with all my gear as you can see. I've brought a lot of gear because it's very cold at the minute. I believe temperatures tonight are supposed to get down to about -5. We're in a right cold spell in the UK at the minute. That's probably about as cold as it ever really gets here. So yeah, -5 tonight. It's no more than 3 at the minute. Mind you, I have been sweating because I've been working. So yeah, that's why I've got all the gear. And like I said, I got here about 9 o'clock, hiked in, and I've been non-stop ever since. I've had to go and get all of this material. It's all dead. Down the hill that I've had to hike up, there's been a lot of logging happening. So there was just mountains of felled, some live and some dead trees. Which I was just cutting little bits off. I mean, huge things they've been cutting down. So I've been just scrapping little bits about the place because what is in the immediate area is really wibbly wobbly. So I'll burn all of that for the fire tonight. But for building materials like this nice straight pole here, so pine, and all the other bits for the bed and stuff like that, the back of the shelter, I had to go and collect. So I've been doing that, building the bed as you saw, and starting to put a back on the shelter. I've just been using the leaf litter as a sort of thatching, and as you can see, I'm about 3/4 of the way up, and down here where I have covered is to the stage where I can't really see any daylight through it, so that's good, that's what we want. But now it's about 1 o'clock and I thought I'd stop for some lunch, so I will get fueled up and then we'll crack on and finish the back. I'm going to go and get some fir boughs, some conifer boughs. Again, they've cut some of those down, so there's lots of green conifer boughs that I'll just go and collect and use that to make a nice springy mattress, and then I will need a lot of firewood for tonight, so it's go, go, go. I'm tucking into a pear and some crisps for lunch, but I've also got a Stuart mince pie, which I made myself. Obviously I'm doing history and I'm into all aspects of history, so if I carefully put the eggs for tomorrow's breakfast down, you can see what I have made. I got the recipe from a history magazine that I read, a monthly subscription, and the point of it is that the Stuarts didn't just put fruit in their mince pies. Originally mince pies had mince meat in them as well, so it was a bit of a challenge to make. I had to make a hot water crust pastry and get quite skillful in the kitchen, but it came out okay. We had it for dinner last night and not sure what it's going to be like cold, but it's good. There's a lot of fat in it, so that should keep me warm and keep me going, I suppose. And I think I did do the pastry wrong. Some of it's a little bit doughy still in the middle, so I probably won't eat all the pastry, but most of it's okay. Right, I've finished eating, and on the subject of food, I think I will throw my food bag up in a tree so that the squirrels don't get at it. Foxes, bears, mountain lions, etc. That was rubbish. We'll cut that out. I'll do. Name of the game today really will be keeping warm. It's right when I'm working and running about getting wood, but as soon as I stop, I've had to put one layer on already, and now my tips of my fingers are in agony and I can't feel my hands. Really chilly today. A little bit more on the camp before I crack on working. As you saw when I got here, I scraped all the leaf litter from this immediate front area back, because I wanted to use it for thatching material, but also just to make space, make walking around easier, stop me tripping over, to make the fire safer too. I've got the bed here, and then a good big step away right here is where I'm going to have my fire, next to this tree stump, which will form a nice little table for me, as well as chopping block. So I'm going to dig a nice long fire pit. I'm going to do what's called a long fire. Literally, the clue is in the name. So a fire that is very long, and then that will radiate more heat and hopefully throw it towards me and circulate it in this shelter here. If I have time, I will build what's called a fire reflector. So I will build a wall of stacked logs, one on top of the other here behind the fire, to again throw that heat towards me and hopefully keep me nice and toasty tonight. What else? Look at that, the sun's come out. As I said, my next job is going to be to continue throwing thatching on the back of this and hopefully try and get it up to the top. It doesn't have to be completely weather tight. We're not expecting any rain tonight. That's why it doesn't hang over very far or tuck in around the back. It's mainly just a wind block. So yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll try and get time to do some other camp crafty projects, which is some of my favorite things to do in the world, and that's why I came. So yeah, thank you for joining me, by the way. Like and subscribe, all of that fun stuff. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, I think that's about as much effort as I'm willing to put into that. Just because the time's getting on, I need to make my bed more comfortable, I need to do firewood and all those other jobs I said, so I'll go and do that. So I'm using these as just extra insulation, really. I've got a roll mat with me, but it's only thin foam, so because it's so cold, I've built the raised bed that will keep me up off the cold floor, for one thing, and then for added insulation I'm adding these. I thought about doing leaf litter, but on the walk in I saw that they'd cut down all those fir trees and thought, why waste it, you know? Why spend my time picking up all these leaves when I could just go and grab a big armful of boughs from further along and use those. So I'm putting the sticky bits to the edges where I'm not going to be laying, and all the nice fluffy bits in the middle. Trying to avoid the really big sticks, don't want to be laying on them. Also in my first aid kit I've got a space blanket, like a foil highly reflective blanket for emergencies, which I'm considering getting out and putting on top of the boughs and then my roll mat, but that might not be necessary. We'll see how we go. So yeah. Okay, I've put all of the leafy bits on the bed, and then I had an idea, instead of throwing the sticky bits away, I've put them on the back to hold the leaves on. So now I can complete the very green colour scheme with my roll mat and 2 sleeping bags. Because it's that cold, and because I'm anticipating it getting even colder at night, I'll put one inside the other. So, and I'll probably be wearing clothes in it as well, plus the fire, but who knows? I'd rather have more layers and methods of keeping warm and then not need to use them than to have a miserable night being cold. That's not the point of camping. Okay, if you saw try again. Okay, if you saw the video that I did with Aaron camping out here in the summer, and I think I forgot before to say click here to watch it if you click here to watch it if you haven't already. We made some hooks to hang all our gear on to keep it up off the ground always a good idea. So I've done the same thing, so you can go and check that out if you want to see how to make them. But you get a stick with another branch jutting out, cut it off just below that and at the top as long as you want it, and then you use an axe or a knife to make a cross in the stick here above the little branches sticking out, and then carve up into there to make what's sort of like a bird's beak kind of thing, a little hook that I can then wrap this cordage around and pin it against this tree here. So I've made 3 of them. I'll put them on here, and then I'll put a nice little clothesline for putting gear on between these 2 trees, and no doubt for me to run between and clothesline myself. And it was fiddly last time with 2 of us, no doubt with just me it'll be even more so. Next job, I'm going to re-scrape all of this rubbish away from my camping area and make a nice big pile of firewood appear around here. Excuse the Chinooks, but I have, there we go, tidied up, big wood piles, should last me all night and into the morning. So the next job is to dig the fire pit. One more thing though, a little bit away from my camp, I have set up my DD Hammocks tarp as a tent tarp configuration, just as an emergency shelter, like a backup insurance policy, so that if I get any really bad weather, if my shelter falls down, or if I'm just too cold, I can dive in there, and if I don't need it, then I might as well just put my kit in it when it gets dark to keep it dry, even if it does rain. Not that that's forecast. So like I said, because it's a winter camp, I've brought lots of kit, and that's why, and that's part of it. Okay. I'm going to dig down to keep it contained. Just marking up the edge here, outline of the pit. All of this soil and leaf litter is completely soaked. We've had lots of rain this winter, so I have no concerns about setting the forest floor on fire. Even the roots of this tree stump, I mean, look how long dead it is. Everything underground there is going to be very rotten and soaked. I haven't got any concerns about lighting a fire here. It's very close to where Aaron and I had the fire last time, and we had no issues then, so it might take me a little while with just a trowel, but I did think it would be a little bit overkill to be carrying a spade up the hill with all my bags. Okay, I've dug right down through all of the leaf litter to proper mineral soil. That should be fine, and I've piled up all of the soil around the edges to help retain the fire and bounce that heat back to me. So let me go and collect a few big logs and then we'll build that fire reflector. Okay, you'll have to excuse all of my grunting and groaning that I'm about to do. So I've flattened out that little mound of earth that was at the back, and I've like I say, got some long stakes here and some big logs. Those two at the bottom aren't quite long enough to cover the whole thing, but that doesn't really matter. These ones though are, so I should be able to hopefully balance them atop one another. And before I go any further, in fact, that one could come out and come nearer. That's why you chamfer the top of the heads of each one with little cuts to make it all a slight point, but not as sharp as the end that goes in the ground. Just take the 90-degree corners off the end of the stick, and then that way it won't mushroom as quickly when you hit it, or at all if they're proper good stakes. But these should be fit for purpose for tonight. Anyway, yeah, where's that string gone? Here. Tie the tops off here. And that should stop them falling off. I'm pretty happy with that. Never done one of these before. I've seen lots of them done by other YouTubers. There we go, I'm calling that good. It's pretty sturdy. These bottom two shouldn't go anywhere. And what that's going to do is I'm sat here or in bed, the heat of that fire, that wall is going to stop the heat from going off into the woods, or as much of it. You know, granted most of it's going up and some of it's going to the sides and backwards, but hopefully it'll throw a higher percentage of it towards me, which is where I want it to be. So I might get one more log on top of there. I think we are losing light, and I do need a thumbnail, and I need the fire in the thumbnail, so I've got to keep pushing on. Not time to start cooking yet, it's only 4 o'clock, and yeah, still lots to do. Okay, just while I'm waiting for it to get a little bit later before I start burning through my supply of wood, I thought I would tell you about a new piece of equipment which I am very pleased to now own. You know, when people start to get older, they look forward to all those things that they're able to do, like when you're 17, you're allowed to drive and all those things, you look forward to those birthdays. Well, for me, by far and away the best thing about becoming 18 was the fact that I'm now allowed to buy knives. I've used Moras with Scouts a lot, so I knew that they were very good. So that was what I wanted to get, an outdoor companion. And they're only 20 quid, so they're cheap for a first bushcraft knife. Having only ever had a Swiss Army knife since, what, 10? And just having managed with that, I was very, very happy to finally get one. So yeah, I got it in bright orange so that I don't lose it. I also, at the same time, got a fire steel, and it might have been firesteels.co.uk. I'll put the website up wherever it was I got it from. a proper thick fire steel to go with it. The idea of this being a blank rod is that you can put your own handle on it, which I will do at some point, obviously, but I just haven't had time. So I've put it on a bit of, again, bright yellow string so I don't lose it, and then put it on the knife, on the sheath. So yeah, very pleased to have a Mora. I have been wearing it on my belt all day. It's not giving me any issues, and it's gone through wood when I've been putting lots of pressure on it, batoning with it, which, if you don't know, is when I do this. It hasn't given me any issues at all. Keep going. There we go. Splitting wood, whittling bits. When I put the tarp tent up, I had to put a central pole in it, and I haven't got an extendable pole with me, so I needed a stick that wasn't going to jab through the tarp. So I used this to whittle off as close to a perfect dome as I could, which it did fine. So yes, very much like this. So much so, I even bought two. Slightly different sheath case so I can tell the difference, or sheath colour. The only difference between the two is that this blade is stainless steel and this blade is carbon steel. Now, there's lots of discussion on YouTube and the internet about which is better for your Mora or your Bushcraft knife, and there are pros and cons to both, really. From what I can remember from buying them, which was a little while ago, you won't want to strike a fire steel off of a stainless. It won't work very well. A carbon, though, will. A carbon knife is softer, which makes it easier to sharpen, but then it will go blunter quicker. This, however, the stainless, is harder steel, so it will retain its edge for longer, but it's harder to sharpen. The other thing is that the carbon steel, having carbon in it, means it has iron in it, so it will rust. The stainless will not rust. Well, they'll both rust, but this will not rust as quickly or as much. So if you are doing things like food preparation or in places where it's likely to get wet, go for stainless. But if you want it to be easy to sharpen, but you don't mind taking the time to care for it and oiling it so it doesn't rust, get a carbon. For me, I decided to get one of each. One, because I knew I would use them both to their full extent and probably break them, you know. I'm not going to hold back using them, so it wasn't like I was going to buy them and then not use them, buying two. Also, it gave me the opportunity to try them in the field and see what my experiences are with the both, rather than just listening to the other opinions of other people on the internet and making a choice for one of them based off that. I thought, let's just get both, and then I can try them both, see what happens, and then make my own mind up, and then probably tell you about it at some point. So yeah, two Moras, exactly the same, two different steels though, and so far they've both been fantastic. I will be using the stainless to prepare my dinner tonight. I've been using the carbon around the woods because I think that's what they're more suited to, respectively. I think it's dark enough now. Let's light this fire. One more thing before I do. Here's a close-up of how it goes on my belt. And the fire steel I found on this bit of string tucks nicely into my back pocket, and then I can do the zip up and that'll stop it dangling around. Oh, that, yes. Right, this will probably involve quite a lot of coughing, because not only did I not consider how much the wind was blowing this way, but also the fire reflector is doing a great job of kicking the heat towards me, as well as all the smoke towards me. So I am sat here getting quite smoked out, but I'm pushing through, and if it gets that bad I can always knock the fire reflector down and go and sit the other side of the fire. So on the menu for tonight is mostly leftovers, some veggies from the fridge, leftover pork from last Sunday's roast. I'm going to chop everything quite chunky and put it in the pot with my courgette is nearly frozen. Put it in the pot with some gravy and a tin of tomato soup, and I'll just let it stew for a bit. Everything could be eaten as is, cold, because the meat's cooked. The veggies won't kill me, and the soup you could have cold if you really wanted to, so I can't mess it up and make myself ill. So we've got red, green and yellow peppers, some celery too, and no, I should not really be using my knife on the aluminium pan lid, but I forgot to whittle a chopping board when it was daylight. Seems my head torch batteries are quite cold because it won't turn the brightness up. Weather app's currently saying that it's -1, feels like -3, and that in the morning, early hours, it's going to be -3, feels like -8. Some red onion, and then the meat. Oh, and garlic. Forgot about that. I forgot I also had a tub with leftover roast potatoes from the roast, as well as carrots and broccoli, so that's in. All the other stuff and the meat, so I'm just gonna put this on the fire with the tin of soup, and I've also got some gravy granules to add to it. Just heat that lot up. Big old meal for me there. Now my pot is on the fire and will probably be there for some time. I have brought a beer with me, so I might as well open it. Cheers. That's quite nice. So yeah, I think I'll just sit here, try not to catch cancer from all this smoke, and drink my beer. Wait for my stew. And then, to be honest, after I've eaten, I think I'm just going to get into bed because it is cold, and I can feel the heat from bed. So yeah, and then I can just sit up as long as I want, nice and cozy in my 2 sleeping bags, and go to sleep at whatever point I want. To be honest, there's not much point me just sitting here running my mouth is for half the night. Especially with this much smoke in my face. While I'm waiting for my pot to boil, or rather to stew, I'm just sat here on my bed, and I thought I might as well tuck in early to my pudding, which on the theme of historical cooking, I had a Stuart mince pie for lunch. I can't get the bag open, but I have also made a Georgian 12th cake, supposed to be eaten on the 12th day of Christmas, I suppose. It's a sort of bready, fruit cakey kind of thing. Lots of flour in it, but then lots of raisins and currants as well. Not tried it yet, but it basically tastes like fruit bread. So that was a success. I think I'd rather make this again than the Stuart mince pie. Well folks, it's absolutely lovely. Really hot, keeping me warm. Very wholesome. It was on there for an hour, just stewing down and reducing. And the fire is going well, keeping me warm. And the smoke is bearable. If nothing else interesting happens, I think I'll just head to bed after this. Won't bother filming anymore because, like I say, there's not much else for me to do. So I'll see you in the morning when at least it'll be light. So yeah, See you then. Well, good morning. You'll have to excuse the noise of that farmer trying to do a day's work behind me. He didn't wake me up. I set an alarm for 7 o'clock, and about past I was laying in bed just dozing, and I heard that, shall we say, the sound of a million tin cans being dragged behind a car. So yeah, I slept all right, surprisingly. It was jolly cold last night. Sat by the fire, even, you know, in all my layers, I was a little bit chilled. But once I got into bed with the 2 sleeping bags, I was comfortably warm all night, with all of my layers on, admittedly. So yeah, even though it was cold, I was warm enough. I'm up and at 'em now. I'm going to get a fire going to get a brew on, and then I've got quite a lot of packing up to do, because I've got to dismantle the natural shelter and get all my gear packed away and make the fire look like it was never here, and then get my self hiked back down the hill. So let's get cracked on. Might be able to do one of these. Should have done that. There's slush in the bottle. Aaron, if you're watching, there's no hazel in your woods, and that's rather annoying. I'm improvising with this bit of dead stick, but I'd rather it be a nice long straight wand of green hazel, which I just whipped the bark off, but I shall have to make do with this. The plan is to put my bacon on this and get nice and smoky, nice and crispy, rather than doing it in the pan. And I will probably fry the eggs, but I had thought about doing them in the style of another YouTuber I watch. And that is putting them in a pan that nests inside of another billy can, which you can then fill with hot simmering water. And that then does them sort of poached style, but sort of fried. But the idea is that they don't burn, and it's a very gentle heat, because the eggs are only getting cooked by the boiling water. But I haven't got the right pot for that, and it's going to be difficult to make like a tripod or a big grill over the fire to do it in my saucepan things. So, for the sake of successfully getting something to eat, I think we're going to do it like this instead. I've also got some homemade bread just on the upturned pan. Hopefully it'll turn into toast and not burn. The bacon's mostly done. I am just going to finish it in the pan just to be safe, but it's getting there. I've just made a right mess of my eggs, so they're going to have to be scrambled. Okay, It might not be the neatest bacon and egg sandwich in the world, but it'll be edible. Ah, can't even get my mouth around it. Okay, I'm gonna eat this and then start getting packed up. I've already got some washing lines up. Got the tarp hung on it because it's all frosty, so hopefully I can get that melted off and dry before I have to put it in the bag and get out of here. So yeah, that's pretty much it now. Well folks, now that I'm bathed in golden sunlight, I've had to put my sunglasses on. We're all packed up. I've got all my kit ready to go. I've left the woods, as you can see, as if I was not here at all. Leave no trace, always. I'm even taking some rubbish that I found. There's a plastic bottle somewhere that I found in the leaves. I'm gonna go and put it in Aaron's bin, just to leave the place even tidier than I found it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Who knows when I'll see you next, but hopefully it'll be very soon. Yeah, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. Goodbye.